Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Saturday, it's October 19th. Today is day 379 since October 7th of a year ago. I've been giving these daily updates to keep us informed about the news, about what's happening in the Middle East, but also as an encouragement to pray, to keep our thoughts and minds focused, to not be discouraged, but to continue in our efforts, advocating for peace, advocating for a comprehensive and permanent ceasefire, advocating for an end to all violence. A summary of things that have happened in the last 24 hours or so. A drone was launched at Netanyahu's home. North Gaza's hospitals are under fire, according to officials. A drone was launched towards Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's residence in Caesarea, his office said today. However, it did not hit his home, and both he and his wife were not present at the time. There were no casualties reported. The Israeli Defense Forces said that 3 drones had crossed from Lebanon into Israeli territory, 2 were intercepted, and 1 did hit a structure in the area of Caesarea, which is along the Mediterranean coastline in Israel. The Gaza Health Ministry said today that Israel was intensifying its targeting of the health system in North Gaza, meaning that more hospitals or health ministry sites had been hit. They said at least 3 people were killed as 3 different hospitals came under siege or under fire. The Israeli forces fired a spree of bullets and artillery against the perimeter of one hospital. They shelled the upper floor of another. Munir al-Bursh, the general director of all hospitals in Gaza, told the Washington Post. The health ministry reported 1 death after the entrance to a laboratory at Kamal Adwan Hospital was targeted, and said that 2 patients died inside Indonesian hospital as a result of a siege and power outage. They added that Al-Alda Hospital was also targeted. Israeli military said that there were 180 projectiles fired from Lebanon into Israel today. A 50-year-old man died after shrapnel struck his car in northern Ain Hamafratz area. That's in Israel, according to Israeli paramedics. Others were treated for injuries in Haifa and Western Galilee. In a rare rebuke, Lebanon's caretaker prime minister accused Iran of attempting to establish a rejected guardianship over Lebanon, and said that Iran's envoy should be summoned in response to reporting that a senior Iranian official said Tehran is ready to help negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Makati, in a statement, called the comments a blatant interference into Lebanese affairs. I talked about that yesterday and maybe even the day before, but there's been more conversation about that in the news today. The totals of death thus far: there's been at least 2,412 people killed in Lebanon over the past year, according to their health ministry. The death toll in Gaza, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, is at least 42,519 people killed. You'll recall that it's believed that there is a minimum of 10,000 people in addition to that who have died and are underneath the rubble, who are not able to be recovered. Neither Lebanon nor Gaza distinguishes between civilians and combatants. In Israel, there were at least 12 people killed on October 7th, according to reports. That includes more than 300 soldiers. Also, 353 Israeli soldiers have been killed in operations since October 7th, 2023. Some additional news from Gaza: 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in the last 24 hours, a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old. They were said to be killed, these are Israeli soldiers, said to be killed by anti-tank missiles in the Jabalia refugee camp in the north of Gaza City. Another officer was seriously wounded, and at least 44 Palestinians were killed and more than 80 people wounded in Israeli airstrikes on northern Gaza's Jabalia and Maghazi refugee camps. It's being said that what's happening in North Gaza right now, you'll recall that there has been another evacuation order on all of North Gaza. Then all of North Gaza was declared a hostile zone. It's being called a siege on North Gaza. And so the death tolls there are in the dozens. Yesterday, Israel said that it's looking into private companies to start to distribute aid in North Gaza as a part of an attempt to take away a core element of Hamas's civil rule, according to Israeli officials reporting to the Times of Israel. Israeli companies would not will not be used, but Israel was looking at the possibility of using American security companies around which the Israeli Defense Forces would provide a security perimeter. There are a lot of concerns about the privatization of the distribution of aid, according to international humanitarian organizations. Regarding hostage release protests demanding the release of hostages being held still in Gaza, along with demonstrations against the Netanyahu government, are set to take place tonight, Saturday night, all across the state of Israel. And in the West Bank, settlers set houses, cars on fire in a West Bank village. According to reports, settlers threw rocks, set houses and cars on fire in a village called Jaluf, according to defense sources. The source further added that settlers stole local horses while military was also operating in the area. A few other updates about Lebanon. I'm recording this at about 1:00 p.m. East Coast time in the United States. As this is being recorded, Beirut is being bombed. The Israeli military confirmed airstrikes on Beirut's Daya, which is South Beirut. This is the first time since Wednesday, saying that it was attacking Hezbollah's weapons depots, which is where Hezbollah's organizational intelligence command centers are said to be located. The Israeli military has said that they've taken several steps to avoid civilian casualties, including advanced warnings to local population centers. 3 Israeli soldiers were seriously wounded in Lebanon today in a friendly fire incident. And then I just wanted to close by letting you know about a couple of things that are happening at Churches for Middle East Peace. We're in the middle of a mini course. It's called Holding On in the Dark, and it's specifically highlighting the cases of a number of Palestinian Christians. The subtitle is Palestinians Pursuing Justice Under Occupation. Jessica Montel, who's the executive director of HaMoked, which is one of the oldest Israeli human rights organization, did the first session, but it's a 5-part mini-series that you can watch on video for the sessions that have happened thus far. We'll be hearing from the families and loved ones of Palestinian youth in detentions, families whose lands are at risk of annexation, experts on the Israeli government's use of legal proceedings about certain cases moving forward in the weeks ahead. And finally, we released a statement this week, joining 19 other faith leaders that are a part of our membership coalition in a letter to the Harris and Trump campaigns, asking for and sharing our deep concern regarding the ongoing injustice and violations of human rights in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. It's a request for what we're asking for in the first 100 days of office for whoever might next be elected as president of the United States. So I wanted to call those things to your attention. Might God go before us in our efforts towards peace. Amen.